I got to this and I got to that. But it's not what people want. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not natural. It's not normal. It's not healthy. But what you do is creative. And creative, oftentimes a lot of people that are very creative and very powerful in their ability to express themselves, a lot of times it comes from this emotional instability, or this comes from this sort of core of pain, or at least of sensitivity, right? There's like this bubbling inside of them. But at least you're doing something you love. There's a lot of people out there, and I don't know what the number is, but I would imagine it's in the high 60. What's with me in percentages today? But it's a lot of people are not doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's like that Thoreau quote that I always love this quote, that most men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yep.
And I think the final part of that is, and they go to the grave with the song still in them.
It's beautiful.
It's a great quote.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a lot of them.
He did.
But that is the reality of most people's existence. And I think our modern day education system that funnels people into occupations and tells them that what you do or what I do is almost impossible. It's almost impossible. I mean, they would tell you, like, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be a singer. Get in line. How many of them are out there?
Yeah.
But my thought when I was starting out as a comedian, when people say that to me, I'm like, but there are them. They're a real thing. Like, there's one.
It's not Santa Claus.
Right. Like, wait a minute. Can it be done? And they would say, you're never going to make it. It's too hard to make it. I'm like, oh, okay. But someone's making it.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm watching Richard Pryor in a movie and he's doing stand-up, if I'm watching live at the Sunset Strip, like, clearly this took place.
Yeah.
So this man is a real person that got to this point. But people will tell you that path is almost impossible. And how many people were discouraged off of that path that wanted to be a singer, or wanted to be a comedian, or wanted to be whatever it is that seems hard, that's an untraditional path, or a path that's not as well lit as your standard, I'm going to be a dentist, and then you're going to follow this groove, and this is how you do it. And there's so many people out there that they got hoodwinked.
Yeah.
They got hoodwinked by the system, and they never figured out how to develop the kind of horsepower that you need to pull yourself out of a ditch.
Yep. And change is hard. Like, people love to look at my life and, it's hard. Change is hard.
I don't know if they look at your life after what you said today. If they look, that bitch had it easy.
Or they'll think change
Who isn't
came
a homeless,
easy.
suicidal 15-year-old? Get the fuck out of here with this.
We haven't even got to mom yet. Jeez.
Oh, let's get to mom.
But change is hard. And the reason a lot of people don't change is because it isn't a guarantee. And so it's a lot safer to go to a path that is much more linear and safe with probably a known outcome.
Yeah.
Because taking the risk you took, taking the risk I took, where there is no guarantee, it isn't handed to you and it isn't a promise it's going to happen. That's a risk. And a lot of people are just very risk adverse because the fear of the unknown. And we want to go back to the familiar. It's why even if you're miserable, you kind of just keep going back to familiar emotional habits because it's familiar.